one thing that keeps me alive, that makes those dark days a little bit more light, is art. Most people, they think of tarot cards as, well, kind of siding them with something that we play games with. They say originally that they were created to play with. It's called tarotchi or taroko. However, you can actually predict and read with a lot of things, not just cards alone. I can make my own system and use that system, be inspired by archetypes from the nature, from or human archetypes, trees, flowers, put a meaning to them, and I can do spell work or incantations or whatever with that. So everything. The reason I love tarot is because for some reason when I started 30 years back, actually, there was not really like that. You could go into the town and buy a deck of tarot. You had to order them online, and there was really not a lot to choose between. There was some old, scruffy, not particularly interesting. Then I come to Chiang Mai in Thailand, and for the first time in my life I see a mountain. And there are all kinds of people. And I go to YouTube, and the community in tarot is growing. And as we know, a coin always have two sides to it. It hasn't really been a huge favor for me, who's got 30 years in my back with metaphysics, to join YouTube. Especially when you have to compete with children, and when you have to weigh your words on, yes, like this. You have to be careful, and you have, and needless to say, art is art. And so come across a deck of cards now and then that do have a titty, it's kind of normal. So being here on YouTube and doing tarot, for me, it is a fun way to bring magic into a grey daily life. Just looking at a picture like this and see the magic inside that picture. Most people today, I walk around and I see them as empty vessels. Their brain are inside a phone. And I can give you a million reasons for how we see this. I started to think that a lot of people out there are NPCs, backdrop people. Every time I come up with one idea, it's all over the place. And so I come up with another genius idea that perhaps I can channel the light language that I'm looking for. And I was looking everywhere, and I was looking everywhere, I was looking everywhere for the language of light. I couldn't find it until one day I realized I can channel it. Well, you know, there are people doing that too, and they are literally falling into your lap, and all of a sudden you hear people channeling light languages everywhere, and then you stumble across the Enochian language, and now, out of the blue, with my strange kind of not feeling all that jolly, starting to remember why you want to press that self-delete button. Because what is the point? If nobody really needs you, and you don't really feel any joy in anything, and you wake up, you can barely breathe, and so your life is a small dark room. That is why this is the first time I can say that for the first time in my life I found artwork that made me cry. And it's not necessarily because it's the coolest deck I've seen in my life, but I realized that it's not about hoarding. Many people criticize me and like to make fun of me because I'm a card reader. I'm just a card reader, and I hoard tarot decks. Actually, it's not so different from collecting artwork. It's just that they have less value. There is no money in each and every picture. However, it does take a lot of admiration to create 78 pictures versus one picture. And some of those pictures that are being sold for millions of crowns, they are simply being sold for millions of crowns because of its signature. There's literally nothing on the picture except, well, someone could have had some acrylic paint and washed off the acrylic canvas a little bit, and for some reason the artist or the person who really the owner of the atelier is thinking, oh, I like that, you know, that accident was a happy accident. I like that. I see something here. I put my signature right here, and today I'll give you a little bit extra for doing me that favor, you know. Needless to say that despite my background in fine art from uni and having master private teachers, it doesn't really go well with me that I'm not saying I'm not into abstract artwork. I'm just saying that sometimes a certain kind of art is really easy to make, just like within the music industry. And it sells simply because of its brand. Today I found something I never heard about in my entire life. Someone I never heard about in my entire life. And you can actually call this fine art. And you can also categorize it as everything from, well, I'm sure you've heard about someone called, well, this is not cubism. Salvador Dali, exactly. Salvador Dali, he had his style. And he was cherished by the elite. However, this is not Salvador Dali, and it was actually difficult for me to find any kind of information about this person. And it's in Spanish, however the name looks German. His name is Carl W.Rorig. Rørigs, and it's from, it looks like, yeah, text, Francesca Marzano Fritz. So it just could be Austrian. It says here that he's actually a painter, and he have a major in this. I'm trying to translate Spanish here, so give me a break. So these kind of tarot, they have an extravagant style and surrealism. Yes, I was right. Salvador Dali. Looks like I paid a little bit attention in school. So the book is written by Francesca Marzano Fritz. However, I usually rarely read the books. It's just another books that describe another tarot card from another angle. But in the end of the day, what I can tell you is that the cards are have the same basis as Aleister Crowley. He was a member of this group here, but this is Aleister Crowley's Telema Tarot. And so these are old, and recently we also, I'm not going to pull all down those, but the publisher released something called Millennium Tarot. And so it's basically the 2020 something version of these cards. They are beautiful. However, a computer cannot, we are not there yet where artificial intelligence necessarily can replace the human heart and what we put in things. Maybe there are certain things a computer can do, and for sure, as an artist myself, I'm threatened by that. So when I read cards, I'm not just reading a card. I am enjoying the artwork. Now, I think for those of you who have a brain, if you like to read books, I have read a book more than one or twice, even 3 times. It's a rare thing I do. That's pretty much it. I like to keep the book if it have a special meaning. Look up like Silmarillion or books that are esoteric, hermeticism, things that are from the past, or even this book. I have a feeling it's going to be special, so I'm not going to open it up, not yet anyway. Now, why did this card make me cry? Well, today I was simply just in a really bad place. I was very disappointed finding out that, wherever I moved to, it's a Stephen King kind of town. And if I want to go somewhere, I need to be a Russian oligarch, and I also need to be lucky because, yeah, basically in order to live where I live now, I need to have my own car, or else I'm screwed because you can't even rely on a taxi here. That was just the surface of it. We do know that things in general after the pandemic and so forth have been more difficult. We also know that there are a lot of stuff going on in the world, it affects all of us. However, I have seen something that affects all of us, but it's not being noted of because of one reason. One name is called the philosopher, or a philosopher also known as Descartes. His philosophy, you can read it for yourself, is the very basis of humanity. Psychology based on Freud, and well, at least this is where we get our empirical data from in regards to our psyche. Now, when I saw these cards and I open up and I say that, yes, it's 78 cards. It's not just the Greater Arcana, or it's not one of them stupid oracle decks that everyone can make, and some of them literally are driving me crazy because it looks like a fluffy 5-year-old had done the work. Needless to say, it's annoying. You find a yellow splash on the card and it says, oh, everything's going to be all right. I don't need to pay €25 to know that, especially when it's repeated just to know the shape. These cards, however, I open them and I see I just got something very rare. I don't know how difficult it is to get them, but I only found one video here that are bringing these up, and it's going to be my pleasure to use them. Actually, this deck is so special that I would love to buy another deck. They did not keep this deck. I did not find it in a regular bookshop. And what is more interesting is that they are basing the knowledge on, Illuminati people would go crazy over this deck. Oh yeah. It's a lot of mind fucking here. Yes, it's surreal. It's surrealism. It's basically, I was almost going over to Goya there, but Goya, that's someone else. Anyway, I'm just going to show you a few cards, and there are pictures online if you want to see one thing that I just love with this card is that although my knowledge in runes are quite thin still, I'm going there, but you can see that each card also is portrayed with a Hebrew letter, and Hebrews are not really, the Hebrew letters are not really something we can read in that sense, and same with the runes. It's not really an alphabet. Alphabet is Latin, and English, German, all that stuff, the modern versions of it is also 60% Latin based. So they start with an A, they have a pronunciation, and the artwork here is fine art. Shocking. So is this something I'm into? I'd go as far as I would say that David Bowie's artwork in so many ways is a form of fine art as well. It's far more aggressive. I do love that there is some kind of alien language behind it. However, it's very evident that here we are dealing with a computer, a collage from the computer. Doesn't mean that it's better or worse, just different. Now, this is a modern way. Well, another thing I love with this is that you can see each and every astrological symbol. Here we have the mage, and another thing is that just like with Aleister Crowley's card, if you are in doubt, well, luckily you don't have to guess who is the Empress. Well, she's right here, and she's got her own style. It's very, could I say, postmodern version of surrealism, combined with a little bit, what is that word? Collage, I would say. And here we can say one rune that looks like Fehu. We also see the French lily here, and there is no doubt it's the Emperor. Yeah, lucky for me, they are in Spanish and not in Russian. So we have the Papa here. This is the Lovers. And here we have the Wagon. And how I'm so tired of seeing all these versions of the wagon, which is a horse, 2 horses, or 2 cats, you know. Now and then I do, we have the queer cards that shows a woman on a bike, and here we have a wagon. Because the wagon is something that's supposed to symbolize speed, something that goes really fast. La Fuerza, or the Strength, is showing up twice in this deck, I think. Yes. So instead of showing the Tower as the Tower, we actually do have the Force twice. So this is typical Aleister Crowley position, where the Force is number 8 in the deck. And well, needless to say that the guy who made the deck is a little bit erotic, and I was the Force is not actually the Tower, but it can be mistaken for being the Tower. So here you need to have a good look at the card. You can touch them if that gives you, you know, the Baba Jolie style, touching them, you know, it can, you know, but just looking at them and see that this is 9 of Wands. There is no wounded warrior here. There is something explosive. Another thing that I like with these cards, here we have the Destiny. Okay, is that if I don't understand the Spanish word, now and then there is a Spanish word popping up, don't worry, because it's also written in Deutsch and other languages, which are hidden below there. So you can look around and you would be like, you're in for a cute little surprise there. So now we are looking at the Greater Arcana. Here we have Death, not so scary, and the Devil here. I don't know, I don't feel scared, but this is one of my favorite runes. Now here we have the Tower, a typical tower with some Masonic imprints. We have the star, we have the moon, we have the sun, we have El Juicio or Doomsday. And now and then, be careful if you want to play with these on YouTube. There are boobs here, and there are plenty of boobs. What I like with this is that there is no doubt that we are now on the Wands. And I also love it that he gives a meaning, just like Aleister Crowley. He would write that 4 of Cups. This is luxury, this is abundance, this is so much that you can see in the weight deck that I'm full, thanks, I don't want anymore, almost a little spoiled. Here we see that 2 of Wands is Dominion. And just putting those words out there instead of just seeing someone with the planet in his hand, you know, and Earth in his hand, and he's looking everywhere, and he's supposed to be almighty, and he's only got 2 wands. And in other decks it's about, well, where to go now, to the right, to the left. this is Dominion. It's very simple, and whatever you can squeeze out of that meaning depending on your time, that's all up to you. Here we have something called virtue. I am going to assume that it has something to do with virtue. We do see a beautiful flower popping up here. It's 3 of Wands. So 3 of Wands have something to do with travel and journey. We see that it's something here that is combined. 4 of Wands can something be difficult to fill in, because it's usually connected, depending if we have La Papa here, which is a priest, and you combine it with 4 of Wands and the Lovers, a couple of cards more, we do have a wedding. So 4 of Wands is very often some kind of celebration. Here we do call it simply culmination, 4 of Wands, and you can keep 4 of Wands in the back of your head, how you are usually used to think of them. Here we have something called Desafio, and in thank God there is German there, Streben, so struggle basically, and I was lucky with that one, because to instead of usually 5 of Wands, we see that, it's competition. These cards, Alistair Crowley, I would in many ways see that they are closer to an esoteric interpretation, although there are possible for you to go out now in a regular tarot shop and buy a deck called Esoteric Tarot. And when that's said, the drawings are really terrible, and so you pay only 15 to 16 euro for the deck, but the drawings are terrible. But yes, I keep them because they're esoteric, and you can also find other cards. They should be around here somewhere. I got 2-3 examples of those. It's kind of an inversed deck. It's called the Goetia deck, okay? And the moon placements and sun placements, or the planetary placements in those decks, are completely inverted. So for me, that knows a little bit about astrology, it creates a far more wide range of meanings and interpretations to them. I do see Pluto being, he is using the chakras when he's reading. I do that too now and then, and he's putting one deck that symbolizes the light, although the card can be completely negative, and he's putting Goetia cards below them as some kind of inversion, which I find interesting. So Pluto Beam, he's going really deep. He has my a shout out to that channel. So here we see that many of the deck, most of the cards, they do have like a diary or inscriptions behind them. And it's not like, this is for sure fine art. I love to have a deck that is different. There is no doubt that my favorite style or my favorite parallel world consists of unicorns. However, when we are going to compare this deck to this deck, I hate to say it, but these cards become almost a little bit tacky. I hate to say it. It's mass produced, it's over glamoured. I have to admit, I miss those days. I'd say these cards have a lot more value to them when it comes to the artwork. I don't like things that are over computerized, let's just say it like that. But sometimes you can get away with it, sometimes you don't. This is one example of some cards that seem to be handmade by pastel. I know artificial intelligence is getting better and better at, but this is also another example of a style which is a very typical London style, Gothic, trad goth style. And I have to admit, I'm a little wary of it. It's getting a little bit old, and to find this, I have to admit, when I opened this deck, and I carried, by the way, here we have 2 of cups. I'm allowed to show you, there are no boobs here. Here it says plentitude. So yeah, I open this card and I see, I just got hold of a treasure. And I found, this is probably one of the most healthiest drugs or substances that I have fed myself with, artwork. And when I read cards for you, if you're going to ask me simple, stupid questions, I'm going to give you a simple, stupid answer. If you want something deep, if you want to have true reflections, because sometimes I feel this is an insult to the cards, and say, when will I win the lottery? Or I do take love serious, grief within partnership and this kind of things. However, the cards, oh boobs, they are so much more than just that. They, each and every card, and that goes for all of them, even though some of them look very childlike. I have cards that are all cats, they have humor to them. You see a distressful situation, and the card shows up and reflects your situation, but it also is made in a manner that can manage to make you see the funny part of the section, that that in a couple of days you will laugh at this situation. And it also takes things very serious. Cruelty, 9 of Swords. We often see this as someone who cannot sleep in the middle of the night. I worry, I'm not in a good place. So when that's said, if you get hold of this deck, this is an Illuminati killer. I don't know if you've seen that Rockefeller, Rothschild. There are a deck called the Illuminati for sale. They are very popular and they are beautiful made. And I should buy a second deck because I've overused mine a little bit. Sometimes the deck is just full of, it's like, I don't know, jewelry. So, sometimes you need to fiddle it, and sometimes the jewelry simply is broken and old. And so sometimes if you're really into tarot, if there is a deck you love a lot, I got 2 versions of this deck, one big, one small. It's a really good deck. And this is also a deck I got 2 of. That's another story. But I think Illuminati is a little bit jealous now. Let's just say. This is beautiful. And so it's almost, because I do give out free reads, but it's almost so that there are certain kinds of cards, like these wise dog cards, They might look very tacky, but if you really, really love dogs and you have a look at the artwork, maybe I'll show it to you in a more quick session here. They really, really are worth. Look at this beautiful, oh no, she's got boobs, sorry, princess of coins. So yeah, if you are so lucky and are a card reader and also a lover of art, fine art, you have here a combination of runes, Hebrew letters, which have more or less the same purpose as a rune, and also astrological influences in each and every card. You also have fine art, and for me, the book really doesn't have a lot of meaning to it, except that I do want to learn those Hebrew letters and dig a little deeper in the runes. And in that case, the book, I'm sure it can be very helpful. So if you want this deck, it's called Sirio, not Sirius, but Sirio. And you can take a screenshot. El Tarot de Rørigs, W.Rorig here, which is the artist, and so forth and so forth. And if you wonder, again, yes, thank God, it's 78 cards. Aleister Crowley based, Thoth based. It's a treasure. Go get them while you still can. Thank you.